Auf geht's! Spawnzeit ist oben!
Hello and welcome to Operation Airhead. This game was hosted by the Red Berets in the Czech Republic in a field called Tepla, and most of the footage you will see is from a player called LiVKi of the 106 Black Wolverines. I hope you enjoyed. In this clip, Maki and Fabi try to bypass the main fight in the middle of the halls at B point by taking the right flank. They hope to get at the enemy's back and then open up the building for our own forces to storm in. At this point, Maki has trouble fitting his magazine inside his gun. What he doesn't realize is that there's some electrical tape inside his mag well, which hinders his magazine from clipping in. This costs precious time. Having solved this problem, it's time to move on. Realizing a skirmish with the player behind the tires is pointless, Maki moves on and engages two players behind the left wall and ends up trading with the third.
Jetzt bist du im Fernsehen.
Jungs, geh mal an die Wand vor, dann gehen wir durch. Bleiben noch ein paar mit den starken Waffen da, weil die können ja nichts die Reichweite ausnutzen. Bleibst du da?
After having failed to clear a route through the halls at the first time, Maki decides to give it another try and has an unpleasant encounter with him.
Kevin!
Yeah, I'm sorry too.
Wir gehen jetzt von hier aus, rechts raus, die Rampe runter und links in die Seitenstelle rein. Also von hinten rein. Genau, gleich von hinten rein.
The plan is to do basically the same thing that he did in his first run, but this time he wants to succeed. As we move up, we try to be very quiet, and this is the reason for a slow pacing. And then I realized that between those doors there is a little gap that you could look through, and you can also move the door a bit to gain some very valuable intelligence.
As I awoke one morning, I took my dad's big gun. Super cinematic Schwarzenegger tune to put a mask on.
This guy only calls his hit after emptying a whole clip on him. Guys, please don't do that.
As I walk in the room, feel like nothing
Once we're inside the complex, I try to signal to our own forces that we have made our way up the right side and will now continue to push on. Right here I spot a player on the right side, but unfortunately I miss and he ducks back into cover. Nevertheless, this gives MacLobuzz the chance to engage the second player and take him out. MacLobuzz now makes an unexpected move and turns to his left and tries to get into the hole, but gets taken out immediately. This time the spawns have changed, but the battlefield is still the same, so we try to get around the right side of the hall and once again come in from behind. As you can see, we have to cross a small stream to get to the other side. Getting through this rough terrain and crossing all the frozen surfaces with water underneath is a challenge on its own. The water started to get deeper, and so we had to figure out different ways of getting across these mini lakes. What we came up with was jumping over the ice that were formed by the grass that was still long enough to touch the surface. MacLobuzz can't memorize where to cross the water accumulation, so I tell him where to step and where not to step. Once everybody made it over the mini lake, we had to cross grassland, which left us very exposed to our left side. Everybody in the hall could be shooting at us, so we started running towards the house on our front. But once again the terrain was very hard and we had to cross different obstacles. Now it's our time to move. The enemy doesn't know we're there until this guy pops out of the door and is as surprised as we are. Maki then decides to rush in and take on the enemies as soon as he can and gets taken out, unfortunately for us, by a machine gun. Even though the spearhead of our attack had to raise his death rag, we caused enough distortion for a team to push up into the hole. Now to something that really annoyed us, and that were some players, I don't say all, but some players in the enemy team, and I guess also in our team, that were really playing unfair. And one of these players you can see in this example.
Ich bin rot. Bang übrigens.
Auf die Reichweite?
Ich kann dir ins Gesicht zimmern, wenn du willst.
At first this player gets shot, then he asks in which team his opponent is, and once he realizes that it's an enemy, he also refuses to call his hit and moves on to tell all his friends that are on the right side of this house where his enemy is now located. Even though incidents like this happened, we enjoyed playing, and I hope you enjoyed to watch this video as well. Thanks and goodbye.
Um die Ecke schießen ist auch scheiße.